Hello friends, this week I recorded my PowerPoint, saved it as an MP4 and I'm uploading it to YouTube. When making audio presentations, we always need to be cognizant of equity, and by having video that is web-based, it means that individuals do not need to be impacted by download speeds or having access or not having access to specific file types. YouTube also allows for closed captions, which is a major part of digital equity and inclusion. So, welcome to week 4. Can you believe this is our halfway mark? Before I introduce week 4, I want to recap the week 3 conversations. Fantastic job in all sections, and I appreciate that you were really honest in sharing that you didn't even know what an AUP was, and that you also referred specifically to the literature to support your contributions to the conversation. There was not a lot of mention of SIPA and COPPA, but keep in mind that age requirement for SIPA and COPPA, which could impact student access. I do want to remind you that it's federal law that computers accessed by minors must have filtering software. Think about public libraries and the different sections for computers. It was very interesting that many of you felt the policies maybe were updated because of ERT, but others hadn't been updated since 2017. It was also very telling that nearly all of you had absolutely no recollection of signing the policy. You also weren't impressed that many districts or schools have a one-size-fits-all approach to these policies. Hardly anyone mentioned cyberbullying being part of the policy, despite it occurring, which I found very eye-opening. And I also found it very interesting that you discussed social media when talking about digital citizenship, but did not talk about your AUP including it. What do you think? Is plagiarism in line with student safety and privacy? As an aside, this is a debated topic at many levels. One question I kept asking myself was if the policy was in place to protect the students or to protect the school. I also wonder if you and your colleagues are distinguishing between rules to promote learning versus rules to ensure student safety. Despite our concerns, there were some really great things shared. I love that you shared your experiences with GoGuarding and you introduced the benefits of it to others. I even more loved that you're already talking to administrators and thinking about how you can be an advocate for improved student policies. Conversations such as this show me you're already addressing the ISTE coach indicators and the equitable and inclusive goals of our college. I also appreciated the discussions about digital citizenship education and specifically common sense media and Be Internet Awesome resources. Many of you thought the student-created policies is a great idea. Most of you shared that you teach kind of the required lessons. I'd really love to hear how you feel you are modeling digital citizenship and the policies within the acceptable use policy, now that you know what is in the acceptable use policy. You have several tasks for week 4. First is to complete the AUP assignment. Make sure you go back to my announcement from week 3 where I give a few more details, as well as read the assignment and the rubric carefully. If you're opting to collaborate because you're at the same school, keep in mind your final product should reflect the work of more than one person. Please make sure you use the Fullerton VoiceThread account. This will ensure your presentation has closed captions. Once again, you're going to get constant reminders in this program about digital inclusion. Just as you model digital citizenship, you should always be cognizant of digital inclusion. You'll submit the link to your VoiceThread in Canvas. Make sure you check permissions before submitting. You should use what you glean from this week's conversation. As you think about tips, it's not enough to say, teach the students about the policy or get the parents to sign the policy. In the presentation, it's your job to give some lesson ideas, hopefully student-centered ones, that teachers can implement. It's also time to think about the Distance Ed Experience assignment. This is the major assignment for this course. After you have thoroughly read through the assignment directions, share some ideas in discussion 4.1. Keep in mind the differences you noted in weeks 1 and 2 about remote versus distance learning. The key with your distance ed experience is having your learners engage with other learners or experts who they would not normally have access to. And of course, we have our group meetings starting this weekend. The meetings will be in my Zoom meeting room, and each group has 30 minutes, so please come prepared. We will go over quick summaries of the literature where you can refer to your annotations, and then we will have a conversation about the literature as a whole in relation to your topic. It's actually quite an eye-opening discussion as we really get to see how literature reviews are born. And finally, a Canvas tip. If you're not in the habit of checking your Fullerton Education email, you can change that. So make sure you catch the announcements by changing your email address. And finally, stay healthy, stay helpful, and stay calm.